well as like a plushie box that we did for our Valentine's Day fundraiser. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. Enough of a plug. So we'll start with the first question, and if anyone wants to start, I know this is a little more structured on our agenda, but we'll just kind of start with maybe this question. So, can anyone go to the UC Davis Student Health Center?
I guess that's me. So the answer is yes. You all pay the student health fee. You don't have any choice on that. That is completely different than the SHIP insurance. So even if you do not have SHIP, you can still come to the Student Health and Wellness Center. If you don't have SHIP, there may be some copay fees, but that you would have to ask specifically what those are. Kind of depends on what services.
Does everyone know what SHIP is by raise of hands? SHIP. Okay, that's a good amount of hands. Yeah, so it is. You can get a grant for that, which I think is another thing that we were going to talk about is who has access to SHIP if you don't already have it. So what services are offered at the UC Davis Health Center specifically for LGBTQIA students?
So first and foremost, there's primary care, and we are a medical home for UC SHIP students, but also we can be a medical home for any student. And that means that we can be a place where you can receive routine vaccinations and immunizations, you can receive well checks and physical exams, you can receive cancer screenings as appropriate. And of course, separate from primary care, we also have an acute care department. So if something were to happen to you, if you fell off your bike, if you had a urinary tract infection, if something needed to be seen the same day, we have an acute care department for all students where you ideally could be seen same day or quite quickly for something that can't wait to see your provider. Within the primary care program, we have our gender care team, and there are 3 of us are primary care providers through gender care. And that's where we are happy to discuss all sorts of options for hormone therapy, but also for referrals out to expert providers for things like surgeries, for things like hair removal or electrolysis, for things that might come up in a student's quest to present as their best selves, as their true self. And we can also absolutely facilitate the referral process to support you with or without SHIP.
Awesome, thank you. Does anyone else?
Yeah, I'll talk about the counseling services part. So we have 3 types of services that support the LGBTQIA plus community. First of all, there's individual counseling. I'll talk a little bit about that. We have some support groups, and then we do letters of support for gender affirming medical care, because unfortunately there is a gatekeeping process that is part of that, where insurance companies often need a letter of support from a psychologist in order to move forward with certain types of medical treatment. But just starting with individual therapy, I want to be really upfront that people can call. We have a lot of folks who are part of our counseling services who are members of the LGBTQIA plus community, and we have folks who have kind of specialization areas in working with those folks. I am one who's both. I have an appointment every week that's specialized for a new student that wants to come in, who wants to receive someone who has shared identities. And so one of the things I really do want to name is sometimes people are afraid to go to counseling because they're afraid of discrimination. They're afraid of those sort of things. So you are always welcome when you call registration to say, I want to see someone who's a member of the gender care team. I want to see someone who identifies as part of any community that you belong to, that you want to see with, because sometimes even if you're not going in to talk about identities, it's just helpful to have someone who kind of already understands. You don't have to worry about discrimination that you can meet with. And so we offer services where we can support you in terms of gender-related stuff, queer community-related stuff, or anything else that you just kind of want to talk about that you're wanting to process or having stress over. In terms of groups, we have 3 different groups. We have the Lavender Connection General Group, which is on Wednesday afternoons. This is a LGBTQIA plus support group for undergrads and graduates. Just this quarter, I started up a group that is specifically for graduate and professional students that wanted support in the LGBTQIA plus community with peers that are specifically going through the graduate school experience. And I also started this quarter a non-binary support group that's on Tuesday afternoons. That's by Zoom. So the quarter is changing over. Right now, we're pretty full on both, but if folks are looking to do that, you can always call again counseling services and ask for an appointment so we can make an appointment to kind of screen you for the group. And then the last thing that I brought up is the letters for gender affirming, letters of support for gender affirming medical treatment. As I said, I want to name that it's a shame that we have to go through the gatekeeping process, but with that, counseling services really does try to make it as easy as possible for you to get the support you need, the letter you need. So the process is you make an appointment, you can just call and make one. We meet with you, we do the kind of interview process. It just gathers information that's specific for the letter. And then we write the letter and we have you come back for an appointment and review it with us. You are welcome to edit it at that time. If you're like, hey, I would like to add this, or, I mentioned this during my interview and I want to take it out. I don't want my surgeon to know that. This letter is yours and you get to disclose as much or as little as you want. We're just helping you, support you in meeting your needs. And then it's posted for you in your health chart to be able to print out and use in the way that you need in order to get support for those treatments. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Okay.
Thank you. That was super thorough. I don't know if the gender care team has anything more to add to that piece.
Yeah, I can add. So sometimes you need a letter of support also for the procedures from the medical side. We have done everything we can to make that super simple. A lot of the surgeons now actually have their own template that they want, and they send it to us, and we basically just fill in your name, dates, and sign it and send it to you. I know I don't even require an appointment, an in-person appointment. I don't know
Agree.
if you do. So send me a message through Healthy Message, and we do it. It may take me a couple of days to get to it, but you don't need an appointment for that.
Thank you. Yeah. So as they said, you can call, you can email, you can reach them through the healthy messaging system to get in contact with them. They're more than happy to help you. Let's go to another question. So this is kind of going back to like USHIP and just grants and things like that to fund some of these procedures or access to healthcare. Is there any funding to be able to get reduced or free health insurance through the school?
So in terms of actually getting funding for UC SHIP, as far as I know, it is included if you have a financial aid package. You'll see it on your like itemized financial aid disclosures. So if you're a grad student, oftentimes the department decides to pay for that as part of your employment agreement. If you have the financial aid packet that includes SHIP, that money is specifically targeted or earmarked for SHIP. So if you choose to waive SHIP, that money does not go into your pocket. The 920, I think it is this quarter or this year, that money actually gets taken back. So don't look at it like, oh, I can get $900 extra if I waive SHIP. It doesn't work that way. So other than that, I don't know if there are other grants to cover SHIP.
I do not know either, but I do want to make a plug for the Health Equity Fund that exists. So the Health Equity Fund is a fund of a pot of money that I believe it comes from actually like a series of different streams, no-show fees, all these sort of random ways that money gets accrued, but it doesn't have a clear earmark. And so the university has earmarked it for students to use, and it's only for students. And so there's a section that's specifically for non-SHIP students to cover certain aspects of whatever healthcare costs may be afforded to you as somebody who could have Medi-Cal, could be uninsured, could have Kaiser. That's actually, it's not our problem. Our problem is our solution is getting you access to the funds that you need. Then there's an additional fund, a pot of money that's available to SHIP students to cover things like copays and if your visit to a surgeon or your visit to a dermatologist is covered 80% by your UC SHIP, that additional 20% is certainly nothing small, a privilege to be able to accomplish it in any way. So that's an appropriate use of health equity. If you have therapist visits that you're seeing out in the community, and each time you see them, it's $20, and you're trying to see somebody once a week, that adds up. And so health equity is absolutely available to all students. And we try to make it as available as possible. But again, any one of the people who work for student health and counseling services should be able to point you in that direction, because it is for you. And we have nothing to lose by just offering it to anyone who might need it.
And then at the LGBTQIA Resource Center, we also have a grant that you can access. You do have to qualify for financial aid to request that, but the process is fairly easy, and we don't really turn people away. Yeah, but you could use that to pay for like transporting yourself. Sometimes there are fees associated with certain procedures, and so you can use it to pay for those.
Thank you. So I kind of want to move on to our trans advocate, and if you could talk more about like what you do at the center, and I guess what services also the center does provide, or what resources that you can kind of refer other people to around the area as well.
So I'll start with the center. So the center provides several resources, such as the Gender Affirming Closet, where you can request things like binders or trans tape. We also have sexual health products, as well as menstruation products. And then we also have a library that you can use. But in my role as a trans advocate, I'm mainly a non-clinical caseworker. So I see students who are struggling with coming out. I offer to talk to their parents about it. I also offer support with live name and gender marker changes. And then I also refer a lot to the gender care team. But if you are ever in a situation where, for example, you have an insurance company that isn't SHIP, and they are being difficult about covering certain procedures, I could also connect you with legal services that will advocate for you. And they can also advocate, or they can also help you fill out the live name and gender marker change forms if your case is particularly difficult. For example, it's a lot easier if you were born in California to complete all that paperwork, but if you're from another country or a state like Texas, it's a little bit more complicated.
Awesome. And then so the center we're referring to, if wasn't somewhat obvious, is the LGBT Center, which is located on the first floor of the Student
Community
Center.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and so I don't know if you also can talk about like some of the groups that also meet there as well.
Yeah, so one of the groups that meets there is La Familia. So that's catered around the Latina and Chicanx community. And then we also have a group called the Sapphic Club for people who identify as Sapphic. Hazel's the vice president.
Yes.
Yes. And then we also have other identity-based groups, such as the API group, OSTEM, so Out in STEM. And we're trying to bring back Blackout. The Black community on campus is quite small, and then especially if they're LGBT, that's even smaller. So that group died out a couple of years ago, but our director's trying to bring it back.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so yes.
There's also a counseling services
Yeah.
member who's at the LGBTQIA Center. Is that right?
So at the moment there isn't, but we are hiring for someone, and we're down to 3 candidates. So wish us luck. But they should be at our center full time by the summer, latest during the fall.
Amazing.
Yeah, and so I can refer you to them, or you can meet them directly. They're very competent in LGBTQIA plus topics. So they're affirming, and they will work at our center. So they're integrated with our team, and they interact with the students. So they build a rapport that way.
Thank you. Yeah, okay, so a lot of information for sure. We'll come back to some of these topics, but we want to share a bit about the student experiences that we have available to us right now. So we'll start with Hazel.
Yeah, certainly. I've been transitioning for over 2 years now, and the gender care team here at the Student Health Center has been a fantastic help to get me started. I think I came out early February, and I managed to get Spiro by like the beginning of March, and then estrogen by like the middle of April. There were some hiccups in between when it came to blood work because my white blood cell count was low, but that was sorted out within a month. And on top of that, not just slowly but surely building up my tolerance to spirolactone, which is a testosterone blocker, and estradiol, which helps like produce like estrogen in your body. I also went through surgical procedures like facial feminization, which required that required a letter of support. I was able to get through a therapist, and very soon enough, bottom surgery, which I was able to use the gender care team to get a letter for me because I only had one therapist, and they required 2 letters from mental health providers. So I was able to go through the student care team to get another letter for me, so I didn't have to find another therapist and go through that whole thing. So overall, it was a really good and fairly easy experience. And I would suggest that if anyone is thinking of partaking in that, to talk to a member of the gender care team and start that journey.
Yeah, and then I also want to introduce another student that just got here, Echo Rodriguez.
Hello. Sorry, I was a little bit late. Some stuff that came up. I guess. Well, I'm really excited to be here. I don't know. It's been a little bit interesting, like navigating, like being trans and like also being a UC Davis student. It's been like the intersectionality of those two things has led me to just have a really unique experience. I would say that like ultimately the main thing, I think the main thing I want to stress is that like through my experiences here and like my journey with like transitioning has only led me to feel like more affirmed in myself. It's kind of weird because in my experience, I felt like my dysphoria was like, I don't know, I had a really unique relationship with it, and it took a lot of conversations and like just letting myself feel the like I guess like pain you could say, and like having conversations about what those feelings were, what that pain was, and then figuring out how I needed to like move forward to kind of remedy that. And ultimately like what I'm on now and what has been like the most affirming for me is I started getting like HRT through the Student Health Center, and I started that back in December. And it's actually kind of lovely because my I guess like 1 month is like literally the first of every month. So it's like every time like this or every first of the month I have like that little reminder of where I'm going and where I came from. Um, and for me and like my experiences, I have really enjoyed the way HRT has made me feel. For me, it was a lot of like mental things, and I've just been kind of also allowing my body to go through the physical changes of starting estrogen. And I have reached a point where I don't know, I just feel like this really unique individual, and like I am learning every day to love my body and also like restructure the way that I was thinking of myself. Cause I feel like that was also a major component into what was like really harming me was like the way I was like talking about myself and looking at myself, and through having support from like friends and then also starting HRT and then also just doing things that put myself first. I'm here now. And I feel like very happy and just very excited. I don't know how like personal we can get, but I've started to see like the physical changes of my body, and like I'm only at 3 months of being on HRT. And it's been like really fun. Like I don't know, I looked at myself the other day and I was like, wait, like I have boobs like coming in. Like, I don't know. Like it's like silly and fun. And I've really developed a personal relationship to my identity. And I don't know, I really like the way it's allowed me to kind of like play with gender, and also like in a way I feel like I give less of a fuck. Like I don't know if I can like swear or whatever, but like I feel like it's helped me take a step back from what everyone else thinks of me and really think about how I view myself. And yeah, I don't know. I think gender should be something that you have fun with, and it shouldn't be a relationship that's harmful. And I think that it can be really hard, like in our society, to find ways of combating those like feelings in that relationship. But ultimately, like at least on this campus, I have had like a very straightforward experience, and it's been something that like I've been so excited to start and excited to keep going with. Yeah, that's where I'm at. That's how I feel. I definitely recommend it. I don't know, like I think me and my friends have this thing where it's like we make like a joke and it's like Papa Moan, bitch, like Papa Moan, like it's I don't know, like it's just fun. And yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, that's like super insightful. You also work at the LGBT Center, so if you can maybe talk a little bit about that and like what resources they offer, because
Yeah.
Angel also talked about what she also does as well in her position.
Yeah, for sure. So I work at the LGBT Student Center on campus. It's at like the SRRC or SCC, just like the really big student center. And I work there as a community coordinator. So I basically am responsible for like programming. I do a lot of like community engagement. A lot of the programming I do specifically like caters to trans people, and I also try to prioritize like non-white trans people in a lot of the programming that I do. Ultimately, because I think that the most marginalized intersections of our community like need the most care, and so I try to always keep that prerogative like at the forefront of everything I do. And then I honestly really like our center because we have, especially with like our new team and like the introduction of Angel and her position, we've been able to really create like unique programming and also added a lot of resources that we've never had in the space before. We've been increasing the amount of like binders, and we're hoping to get more of like gaffs and like other just gender affirming like underwear basically. And like we're constantly adding new things, and we're always like talking like with students and other community members of like new things that people would want, or like new ways of either further building community, things like that. And I don't know, I've been there for 4 years, I think. Yeah, 4 years. And it's been just like one of the best jobs that I've ever had. And I just find myself like really excited to go to work and be in community with everyone. And yeah, we're always available. Like if anyone just wants to talk or just like hang out, be gay, I don't know. Like that's always an option. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so as you can see, there's so many resources here at Davis, even though it is Davis.
I know.
Not derogatory,
Yeah.
it's a great thing. You'll be surprised a little bit. And
Maybe.
then, yeah, so it's, I mean, hopefully you see how much is available to you and how much you have access to at a school like this. I don't know if anyone else has anything to say off that like student experience kind of route, or
All I would say is that in the past 2 years of me transitioning, it really allowed me to really truly understand who I am as a person and where it is I want to be going forward. But just having that clear mind, being able to like step away and be like, who am I? Who do I want to be and where do I want to go from here? And being able to recontextualize that and be able to go forward has been amazing. And being able to start these processes in a fairly concrete and easy way just made it significantly better for my anxiety, especially since taking estrogen did massively drop my anxiety. Yeah. It's just been great overall.
awesome. Yeah, so thank you for sharing that. I know it's like super personal, and like some people are a little bit more quiet or maybe a little bit more loud about it, and so it's awesome to see like people really like being able to express that however they choose to, especially right now with things going on outside of California. With that said, I want to see if the Student Health Center people, whether it's a gender care team or anyone else in that space, would be able to talk about some of the like maybe more like costly items. So in terms of like medication costs, surgery costs, things like that.
Yeah, I can I can address some of that. So I can tell you in terms of if you have SHIP insurance, the UC SHIP has been very good about covering services for gender affirming care, and every year there are more services covered. We actually have a handout here that lists the services, and this is available online. But just in general, I know a lot of, especially undergrad students, have never really had to navigate insurance before. it's a mess, no matter how good your insurance is. But I can tell you with UC Ship, there basically everything is covered. There are copays technically, but they cover the copays, so there's no copays. So medications are the only thing that there might be a copay. Generics are $5 a month per prescription, and then it's $5, $25, and $45. But I think our pharmacy actually gives you a discount. So it's relatively inexpensive. If you go outside of the student health center, there are copays. So if you see a specialist, like a consult with a surgeon, there is a copay, $20 or $25 per visit usually. And then if you have procedures done, there is a deductible, which is $100 this year, which is super low. My deductible for my insurance is like $4,000 or something.
Yeah.
So I wish I could get ship insurance. But your deductible is $100. And then once you've paid that, you have what's called a share of cost. So ship pays 80%, you pay 20%, up to a maximum out of pocket per year of $2,000. And then once you've hit that 2,000 mark, then ship covers 100%. So, and that resets every what they call benefit year. And the benefit year for ship insurance is essentially it's the academic year. So for undergrads, it's September to September, or fall quarter to fall quarter. So if you have ship insurance spring quarter, you're covered all summer.
Yep.
So you actually get essentially an extra quarter for free. So if you don't have ship insurance, you have to contact your own insurance provider, go onto their websites and figure this out. Unfortunately, that's just the hard truth about it. We do have a case manager at Student Health Center, and then it sounds like you have some experience with this. But yeah, if you're confused about insurance costs or whatever, message us. If we don't know the answers, we can direct you. But even for someone who has been navigating the insurance system for many, many years, it still makes no sense. So don't feel bad if you don't understand it. So.
Yeah, but California, a lot of insurances are starting to cover a wider variety of procedures. So for example, my friend was telling me that 12 years ago, they were doing a lot of cases related to for patients to access HRT. And now they even cover things like body contouring. And so they cover everything from like vocal training, FFS. So pretty much everything is covered. And if it's not, you can always find a lawyer who can fight for it to be covered. Yeah.
Anyone else want to add to that before we go to the next question? I think we're good. I guess to make things a little bit more interesting, not that that wasn't interesting enough. We are on a college campus, and this is the first time for a lot of people away from home and away from supervision and parental supervision specifically. So I wanted to ask the question of how and like what resources are available to practice safe sex.
Yeah, so some of the things that we offer, again, are the safer sex products like condoms and dental dams, but we also have an area in our center where you can look at sex toys, and there's also a binder that has a list of all the materials that they could be made out of and like which ones are safer for you. Other than that, we also provide some self-HIV testing given to us by HEP, another program on Davis.
So that's a great segue. Thanks, Angel, for me to make a plug for our HEP program, which is Health Education and Promotion. That is a department within Student Health and Counseling Services that is staffed by folks whose job it is to educate and to interact. And they work so closely with their student employees and colleagues and volunteers to try to access or try to provide as much access to health and information, but also there's a whole umbrella of things that HEP covers. But HEP is an amazing resource for sexual health. They have the Love Lab, which is a cart that goes around full of all sorts of different lubes and condoms and capes and dental dams They also plan events, trying to be, I think, as omnipresent on campus as they can, just to be there and answer questions and query the students who, we can assume maybe what some of the questions you might have, but also just opening ourselves and opening up to receiving your questions so that we kind of know what the pulse is and what we should address as folks who speak at those. Student health itself has a pretty expansive sexually transmitted infection testing program. We can test multiple sites. We can offer it actually as often as you want. And I say that with a caveat that we would love to talk to you if you're having anxiety and symptoms and concerns that would necessitate kind of over testing. But to be totally clear, like, you can get tested as often as you want. And my hope would be that we would be a safe space for you to talk through why it might be that you want testing as often as you do, but it is available. And we try to make it available as providers, but there's also an anonymous-ish, a non-visit way that you can request STI testing through our portal. You don't have to see a human. You can just submit what you need and then present to the lab. It's very discreet. It's very low key. Nobody's questioning what's going on. If you had this, that, or the other, it's just you saying, I want this, and us saying, okay, let's make that appointment happen. So we do our best to try to meet whatever sexual health needs might be sort of burning, literally or figuratively.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not, but
We also offer PrEP, and that's probably don't have time to go into all that today, but super easy. Just schedule an appointment, and we can do that.
Do you also offer PEP?
I was actually
Yeah,
gonna
yes,
that.
yes, actually, yes, PEP and PrEP.
Awesome. Well, thank you. So you see, you have a lot of resources. So if something is burning or whatever is going on
In
there,
your heart
you
or
know, yeah, in your mind,
In your heart.
you know where to go and get help. With that said, I wanted to see if there was any questions from the audience before we kind of do maybe like closings. Anything maybe we didn't cover, whether you're cis, hetero, or trans, or trying
All
to
of the
figure that one
above.
out.
Everything.
Yeah, everything under the umbrella. All those questions. My goodness. Yes.
I was just wondering if maybe some of our panelists might want to share why they go beyond their call of duty, right? And work on the gender care team. It seems like it's a special team. It's the training, involved and all of the things to make available to students. So I'm just wondering if someone can share like what drew you to the gender care team.
Sure, I can start at least. So I've been providing gender affirming care now for like officially maybe 6 or 7 years. Before that, I actually helped start the gender care clinic in Sacramento, the student-run clinic, which I'm not sure if it's actually running still. So I've been, this has been sort of an interest area of medicine that I've had for a while. I also do identify as gay. I did attend undergrad here at UC Davis back in the 80s. And all these resources that you have, the LGBTQ Center and all this is amazing. We had nothing like this in the 80s. There was a student club or student organization back in the 80s, and literally the office was a walk-in closet at one of the houses off campus, ironically. So this resources that you have now are, it's amazing what's available. And part of my goal actually is, as part of the gender care team, at least on the provider side, is to make this not a specialty thing. This should be something that every primary care provider can provide. The medicine part is not complicated. Honestly, the biggest obstacles are the insurance issues. If you have SHIP insurance, it's significantly easier, but if you don't have SHIP, that is really truly the most complicated part of this.
Yeah. And the reason that I do this work, not only from lived experience, but I've worked with the community for a long time. And so I've seen the struggles and experienced the struggles that come along with being LGBTQIA. And so I wanted to be that voice for the community and try to bridge that gap and always have like an equity minded lens in the work that I do. So I have like people of color are near and dear to my heart. But of course I serve everyone on campus. So yeah.
So I am a gender fluid, non-binary, pansexual person. So I really like collecting colorful flags, I guess. But this is my community. It intersects with many of my other identities as a biracial person. And I've had the experiences where I've gone into therapy, and when people found out my identities, the experience kind of sucked. And I don't want that for anyone else.
Mhm.
So this is my community. I want to support my community, and there you go.
I come from a background that is mostly trauma-based. I spent a lot of time as a forensic sexual assault provider in an emergency room in San Francisco. I worked in a reproductive health clinic providing abortions, and I really find that bringing a trauma-informed approach to all of the healthcare that I provide, but specifically to gender care, is a passion. And I feel so privileged to get to learn from my colleagues, but also from each student that comes in. It's truly, it sounds very like rosy and sunny, but the conversations that we have and the time that we have been allotted to connect with our students it's a gift, and it's not something I take for granted. Nowhere else that I've worked have I gotten the amount of time that we get to spend going into gender care and providing gender care and trying to understand the depths and complexities of the ever-changing like world that is gender care. So it really, to me, it's apex. I agree with Brendan. I think it should be a part of primary care. In our minds, it is. And if we can't wish that into existence, we can model it until it becomes so.
Does anyone else want to add to that? Alrighty, then let me just share, I guess, why I do the work I do, which is kind of running like La Familia. So like I said, for anyone who walked in late, I am a co-facilitator of La Familia, which is a queer Latinx group of really a community to make sure that we're all like instilling confidence and love for ourselves and each other and like everyone who shares space. So I transferred from LA, and when I was over there, there was probably just me and like a handful of people that were like also like gay or lesbian or anything under that umbrella, but it was very white. So that's kind of what turned me off. I was like, this is not very inclusive. I don't really know how to resonate, you know. And not saying anything bad, but I think like it's great like having numbers, no matter who you are. Coming to UC Davis, I think I was a little scared, like, oh my gosh, this farm town, I'm coming, like, am I gonna get hate crime? And that's a legitimate thought. You're in a farm town. Like, I mean, if you don't know anything about Davis, like, you would assume that. I would assume that. You know, I'm from LA, I'm not the smartest person, but here I am, you know? And so when I came here, I saw how many resources there were at the LGBT center, at C class, and I felt extremely comfortable. And so when I found La Familia, I knew that this was the space I wanted to be in. This was the community I wanted to be in. And I actually started that process. I got here before I actually started hormones. I've been, I don't know how many years on hormones, but actually Roxana was one of the people that helped me in that journey, get my mental health and like medication and just different things like that together first, because you kind of have to figure that out before you start going on hormones. And so she was extremely instrumental in that process. And so I'm extremely thankful for not just Roxana, but like all the entire team and like even the access to USHIP, because as a lot of people know, a lot of us don't grow up with healthcare. We have Medi-Cal, and then you're like, okay, you know what do you have after? Nothing. I think I broke wrists, hands, like I had concussions. They were just like, okay, sleep it off. We didn't have money to go, you know, you go to a Solano. But here, you know, you actually have real doctors. So when I got here and I had shit, I was like, check everything that's wrong with me. Like, I don't care what it is, turn every rock over. And so like, it was so great. And so I just wanted to share all those resources with everyone in my community, as well as just making sure everyone like love themselves, because that's really hard when you're you're leaving your home, and a lot of times, for most of us actually, no matter how old we are, no matter if it's 2023, or no matter if we're in California or LA or San Francisco, a lot of us don't get that love and affection and acceptance from our families. And that's a huge, huge thing that we suffer with or we struggle with. And so I'm sure a lot of us can kind of resonate if you have been our hormones, or even if you're not and you kind of look a little, questionable, you look a little fruity, that's okay too. It just happens. And so like, it's been great to like meet people and like make sure we're all like affirming each other and reaffirming each other and making sure we know how great we're doing and how like great of a job you're doing at just surviving, because the world is a hard place for us. I think a little bit more. I'm a little biased towards the gay community, I'm not gonna lie. I think it's a little harder for the gay community than like straight people. But so I try to like make sure that everyone's like making sure that you know that you have a place on this earth, and just keep going. Just go take it a day at a time. And so like if you see other people like that, I want you to also do that, because a lot of people did that for me. And so I'm so grateful that we have this team, and I'm so grateful for Daisy and C-Class and Rodrigo for putting this all together and providing like this space and this discussion. So if anyone else has anything else to add.
One last
great.
thing that I
Yes.
didn't cover. I just want to let you all know, it doesn't matter what insurance you have, services at counseling services are free. So it doesn't matter ship or otherwise.
So please really take advantage of it. You're extremely lucky to have these opportunities. I'm sure you know that because maybe you have younger siblings or older siblings that didn't have access to things like this, and so use the stuff while you can while you're here. Yeah. Any other side thoughts, questions, concerns? Nothing. All right. Well, we do have some time, so really quick, I just want to thank everyone for being on this panel today. I don't remember everyone's name, so we're just gonna clap all together. And then, thank you all for being here. We're gonna go through our raffle really quick also. So if you did sign in to the back over there, we're giving out Sanrio plushie with some zines. I actually have these over here, but yes, if you could hold up that box. So is Salma Morales here? Oh, perfect. Are you Salma?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God, I'm like saying you going to live stream. There you go. That's your gift. Thank you for coming. And we also have 2 more zines to give out. We have Jacqueline Trujillo. Perfect. Okay, you're gonna get one of these. This is our zine that we made for Valentine's Day. So it talks about queer love and what that looks like to everyone. And then an Ashley Henmore. Perfect. Okay, so you're gonna get one of these 2. These are like $1 billion valuation. We spent a lot of time on this. I didn't know everyone's laughing. I think it is. Thank you so much for coming. And if you want to talk to our panelists or talk amongst each other, that would be great. Is there anything else? Oh, we're gonna have a picture of the panelists. It seems like. Yeah. I don't know how else to close this.
Should we?
Maybe we should get like closer together so we can actually get in this.
I'll
And
speak
then
back.
once the folks are comfortable, then we'll do it this side, the panelists will be on the side.
Yeah. Let's be professional. No peace sign. Just kidding.
The lighting is great, y'all.
There.
I'm gonna take some this way. All right, that's good.
Thank you. All right, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right. Anyways, sorry, guys.